My first trip down to Guantanamo was to meet with Al-Balul, and obviously what he said to me is privileged, so I'm not really at liberty to talk about what was said. But he was being held at Camp Echo, so I went down to Guantanamo. I went out to Camp Echo to meet with him, and the and you know that gives you a feel of what it's like to be in Guantanamo and what it's like to be in Camp Echo, and you see some of the things. But just as a general matter, it was enormously difficult to litigate cases in Guantanamo. It's going to be extremely hard to get witnesses there because, as a matter of compulsory process, you can't make someone travel outside the United States if they're subpoenaed. And it's just so isolated. There was one case, it was the Zahir case, where the prosecutors had arranged for a court translator who spoke the wrong language. They arranged for, I believe, a Pashto translator, and they needed a Farsi translator. We, however, had a translator who spoke the correct language. So the commission ended up going to the defense counsel in that case, Lieutenant Colonel Tom Bogar, and asking him whether the defense translator could also serve as the commission translator. And it was a good example of how it's going to be so logistically difficult to actually try cases in Guantanamo. Because if we're trying a case in Washington, D.C. or New York City, and the government realized the night before trial that they needed a Farsi translator, they could get a Farsi translator. But down in Guantanamo, even though there were many service members in Guantanamo who could be Farsi translators because they served as translators for the interrogators, none of them would be made available to the commissions. So essentially, there was a necessary player down there that they didn't have, and they didn't have any way to get. But for the defense making its own translator available, there wouldn't have been any legal proceedings in the Zahir case that day. Just one small example of how difficult it is to try to litigate down in Guantanamo.